Hi, this is Paul. I wanted to, like I said, normally I make these videos on the weekend, but again, it's the latest Trump scandal with them releasing their war plans on a Signal app. I guess Signal is an app that people use to communicate. Obviously, what they were doing, their attack plan against the Houthis, was obviously a classified thing, even though they're trying to deny it now. But anyway, the only reason we know about it is because a reporter, Atlantic, I guess that's the newspaper or a magazine. I'm not sure what it is, but anyway, he was added. Jeffrey Goldberg. He was added to the group to the group chat by the National Security Director. I believe what's his name, because I want to get the names right. Mike Waltz, National Security Advisor Mike Waltz. He added him to the group chat, and so he said, Mr. Goldberg said he thought it was maybe like a trick or something, that maybe they were trying to trap him with phony information. We obviously know that Trump doesn't like this reporter for various reasons. Okay, and anytime anybody calls him to account, he can't stand it and tries to call him names and all that other stuff. So we know it's real easy to get under Trump's skin. Anyway, they had a bunch. Of course, they had Pete Hegseth. He was on the chat. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. Pete Hegseth, Tabby, Tulsi Gabbard. She was on it. The CIA director, the vice president, Vance, Marco Rubio. I think had a bunch of other people that were on that chat. And anyway, and of course they, Trump is trying to downplay it and actually called them all these names and stuff yesterday. So this morning, Mr. Goldberg released more of the actual plans. Okay, to prove his point. And he, of course, he blocked out the names of any CIA, any body that's undercover and stuff, because he didn't want to get them in trouble. But he wanted to release the plans because they specifically tried to call him out and say this was like a small minor deal. And we even saw on Fox News, Will Cain, Fox News is just an arm of the Republican Party anyway, and they were just trying to downplay it, said, oh, it wasn't that bad. And they even were saying yesterday when they were testifying, Tulsi Gabbard, I'm saying, oh, this wasn't classified. And Chief's trying to deny, so this is under investigation. And again, Trump was, I think even Trump's done behind said, he's learned his lesson. So, like basically trying to say we slapped him. I gave him a boo-boo for Mike Waltz and trying to downplay it. But now, now that he released these actual transcripts today, more of them today, you got some of these Republicans finally coming out and saying that this needs to be investigated. Well, whether it'll happen or not, we don't know, because like I said, they're all definitely afraid of Trump. So who knows if they'll actually do it. But people are right. Pete Hegseth should be fired. Mike Waltz should be fired, since he's the one that actually added Jeffrey Goldberg. And he even tried to say Jeffrey Goldberg tricked his way into the Signal group, which is not possible, you moron. Okay, you have to be added to that Signal, to that app, to get access to it. Okay, and the very fact that none of these smart individuals noticed that somebody was in there that they didn't know, they probably was not even caring. You just can see by the text, and you can also see by the text again. J.D. Vance is a moron. Okay, and again, him and Trump have this. They have this bug up their behinds against Europe. They really are ridiculous. Attacking our allies. They're really. This shows you again how petty and vindictive they are. Okay, which is really a shame. And I don't know how we're going to last 4 years with these morons in office. Okay, because they really are the worst. And I mean it. They really are the absolute worst. I can't remember when George Bush was the president, he wasn't, he didn't have this feeling of, oh my God, he's horrible. Just Trump, you just get that feeling that everything he does every day, it's another level of pain this idiot is inflicting on the American people. Okay, and this latest scandal is just, again, in any normal administration, Pete Hegseth will probably be fired. Mike Waltz will probably be fired because he's the idiot that added Jeffrey Goldberg, a reporter, on this, and they're lucky. They are truly lucky that that Mr. Goldberg has standards, and he didn't just release it to the public, or just this say, oh, I got an exclusive, and release it. If he was less scrupulous, okay, that has less morals, and maybe he has the morals of Trump, he would have released it all before it even happened. But he didn't do that. But he did report on it to let people know that we got these. Trump has the most incompetent staff. The only requirement Trump required of his staff is that they be loyal to him. That's the only thing. And now, like I say, you have nobody. You got a bunch of yes men and women working for him. There's nobody to stop this idiot from doing what he's going to do. Okay, and like a lot of people say, I think the only way you're going to stop Trump, you're going to have to impeach him. And what you're going to have to do is going to have to get these people. You're going to have these people continue to have these town halls and revolts. And again, when he touched Social Security, and I think he's already touching Social Security and Medicaid and stuff, and the people are going to revolt, and you make those congressmen and women more afraid of you. The people make them more afraid of them than they are of Trump. And that's the only way you're going to do it. And I know if the Democrats win the House, and I think they got a great chance of winning the House, they just got to get Chuck Schumer out of the way, get that dead weight out of the way. They got a good chance of winning the House back. And I know Trump is going to get impeached again. And Elon Musk is going to get subpoenaed. That's why they're trying to squeeze all this in before the midterms next year, because Trump. I think even Trump knows that he's more likely, when they lose the House, he's going to get indicted. Okay, and Elon Musk is going to get subpoenaed, and they're going to block. They're going to do a lot of stuff when they win the House. When they win the House, and if they were smart, I still think Chuck Schumer is a moron and a weakling. Okay, because he was the day before he agreed to that closing resolution. He said, "Oh, the Republicans don't have to vote, and they're never going to get it." Basically, and then he flipped in 24 hours. That's again, just weak leadership. And I understand his reasons that he gave after the fact, but it wouldn't have mattered if you told them the truth beforehand. If you instead of 24 hours before, you were saying acting like you were going to fight. You're going to fight for the American people. But that's another story. I'm going off on a tangent. The main thrust of this video is that Trump's incompetent staff, okay, who should all be fired. His all intelligence team should be fired. But again, they won't be, because Trump values loyalty to him above all else. He doesn't care how much scandal these idiots do under his watch. And Pete Hegseth is the most unqualified Secretary of Defense ever. Okay, just again, they just rubber stamped him, and his only qualification was that he talked nice about Trump. Okay, when he was on Fox News, and that's the only reason Trump picked him, because Trump knows this idiot will do whatever he says. Okay, so that's why he probably won't fire. Although, like I said, maybe if Democrats win the House next year, okay, they can subpoena all of them. Okay, and maybe even I don't know if they can impeach. I think they can impeach the members of his cabinet. I think they can, because I know they tried to do that with the czar, the czar for Biden's administration. I think they tried to do that in the last term, but I think they did, right? I think they impeached. They tried to impeach him. I'm not sure about that. I know they tried to. Mayorkas, I forgot. I think that was his name. They tried to impeach him, but again, these are the most idiotic people ever. Okay, and meanwhile, you have Marjorie Taylor Greene talking about stripping the funding for NPR and PBS. What an absolute witch. Okay, what an absolute witch. Okay, like I said, I still, again, like I said, I made a video a week ago, 2 weeks ago maybe, where I said you're going to need American Revolution. I think that's the only way you're going to have to, the people are going to have to rise up and stop Trump. I think that's the only way it's going to happen. You're going to have to make your representatives more afraid of you, okay, of your vote and stuff, than they are of Trump. Because right now they're kissing Trump. And I even heard Mike Johnson talk about, oh, they can stop funding the federal judges. You idiot. Stop being such a butt kisser for Trump. Okay, you were embarrassing yourself. And if I was a Democrat, when he said that, I'd indict him too. Okay, said, you idiot, you're not going to do that. Okay? You're not going to strip funding from judges because Trump don't like their rulings. That's the most idiotic thing I ever heard. Okay, it's amazing how one man can cripple a bunch of men and women. Just actually make them genuflect, make them so afraid that they go along with everything, and they know it's wrong. They're just a bunch of weaklings and cowards, and history is going to judge them for being just that. But anyway, like I said, this scandal, this signal scandal, again, like I said, they're gonna. Some Republicans are calling for hearings, and maybe now they talk about uh, expe, uh, expedite investigations. But who knows if they're going to do that or not? Because, like I said, if Trump looks at them, they'll probably cower in the corner and run and hide and change their mind. So who knows what's going to happen? But like I said, because everybody knows that if there's a normal administration, these guys would be fired right on the spot. But Trump, again, Trump is not going to fire these people because he loves people that are absolutely loyal to him. And now he made sure he got a bunch of yes men working for him that won't say boo against him at all. Okay, so there's that. So, but it's just a shame that we have to put up with this idiot, and that's why I'm praying that the Democrats do win the House, indict him, and then you have the American people put that pressure on those representatives and tell them, listen, we want Trump gone. Okay, you got to put them pressure on those senators. Okay, I don't have march up to Washington and you put that. Okay, you should hold rallies, hold weekly rallies until Trump is gone, because I definitely think he's going to get indicted. If the Democrats win the House, he's going to get indicted again, and you got to put pressure on those senators, in the because they're the ones that have to vote. Okay, and you're going to have to put pressure on them and tell them, okay, listen, if we want him gone. We're sick of what he's doing to this country, and if you don't, okay, listen to what we say. We're gonna have to vote you out. Okay? You're gonna have to make them more afraid of you than their constituents than they are of Trump. Because right now they're a bunch of cowards. Okay, they're a bunch of cowards. They're the ones that represent Pete Hegseth. Okay, and he's one of the most unqualified Secretary of Defense in the history of the presidency. Okay, his only, again, like I said, his only qualification was loyalty to Trump, and that's it. Okay, this is again one of the most corrupt. Okay, and at the end of this, I pray to God, uh, Elon Musk gets deported. Okay, they strip him of all his contracts and deport him. Okay, and for all those people whining, say, "Oh, you don't want to Tesla stock to go down because people are tired to people are invest." I don't care about it. Okay, I want Elon Musk gone. I want him to stop wrecking this country. Okay, so I want him gone. Okay, if his company Tesla goes bankrupt, more power to it. Okay, we want him gone and out of government. Okay, that's what the people want. Okay, so again, all these butt kissers. Okay, for Donald Trump, from the Pan Bondies to everybody else in his administration, a bunch of yes men and women. I don't care. You have to put that pressure on him, and you have to get. Trump has to get. I think he's going to get impeached again. It's just a matter of time, in my opinion. He's going to get impeached again, and you got to put pressure on those members of the House, and that's not members of the House, members of the Senate. Okay, to vote on those vulnerable members that going to have and we put pressure on them, and I'm talking about political pressure on them. Okay, and get them to to vote. Because again, like I said, I think that's the only way you're going to get, because you can't even declare the 25th Amendment on them, because I think the vice president and his cabinet have to enact that, and those people are a bunch of yes men and women. They're never going to do it. So I think the only path to get Trump out of the White House before 4 years are up is to impeach him and then have that vote in the Senate. And that vote, again, you got to have the people rise up and put pressure on those senators and say, listen, we want Trump gone, okay? And you better do something about it, or we're going to make sure you're gone. Okay, when it comes time to vote, we're going to make sure you're gone. You got to put. That's why I say American Revolution. You got to do. You got to. I think that's the only way you got to get rid of Trump. You got to impeach him and get him gone. Okay, that's the only way it's going to happen. Or else, this 4 years is going to be. It's already horrendous. It's not even been 6 months yet, and it's just horrendous what he's doing to this. To the people. Okay, and again, like I said, people are going to rise up, and that's what we need in this country. We need another. Unfortunately, we need a revolution in this country. Like 1776, we're going to need, we're going to need one of those things. That's the only way you're going to be able to stop Trump, but by getting him, voting and let the Democrats win the House, let them indict Trump, not indict, impeach him, okay, and you put that pressure on those senators. So we want him gone, okay, and you better vote him gone, because I think they only need 10 members. If you get all the Democrats to vote, and then I think you need is it 60. I think it's 60. I think it's, but I'm not sure. I think it's 60. But so you only need like 10 Republicans to do that. So and get them gone, okay? And trust me, I want him and his whole cabinet gone, and that may take an American Revolution because this whole and this is just the first of many scandals. This signal scandals. It's the first of many because Trump is just corrupt as the day is long. Everything he's doing, from getting rid of the Department of Education, cutting Social Security and trying to give his rich friends tax breaks and stuff, letting an unelected billionaire hack through the government. It's again, all this stuff is criminal. I don't care what the Supreme Court says, okay? And they really need to do something. That's again, you need strong leadership, okay, to get this guy gone, okay? Because the people are fed up, okay, and they want him gone. And Trump is going to keep sailing by, and Chuck Schumer just made it easier for Trump to keep going, okay? And we're going to get more scandals like this signal scandal, which is again absolutely beyond ridiculous, okay? And hopefully that will happen. I'm going to have to pray on it that it's going to happen, because I think that's the only way you're going to get rid of Trump. If he doesn't die off, okay, or he's never going to leave. Exactly. So I think the only way to get is to win the House for the Democrats. They're going to impeach him, okay, for his various crimes and stuff, with the whole Doge thing, his whole immigration crackdown and stuff that he's doing. He's basically blackmailing these universities that they don't do what he says. Okay, that's basically blackmail. Okay, that's not presidential duties. That's blackmail. And if I was those lawyers, I'd tell them this: when we indict him, I said, he has so much that you can indict him for. Okay, you can impeach him for, that it's going to be, you're going to have to choose how many things you can impeach him for, because he has a whole laundry list of things that you can impeach him for. Okay, and again, win the House so you can impeach him. Okay, and you put that pressure on the Senate, okay, to convict him and say, so this way everybody can be done with Donald Trump, okay, and just be gone. And again, the people have to make those senators more afraid of them than they are of Donald Trump. Okay, I think that's the only way it's going to happen, and we're going to need that revolution. Okay, but anyway, as far as I'm concerned, this signal scandal is just the latest of his corruption. It's just a symptom of his corruption, because he's corrupt as the day is long. And like I said, I'd be shocked if anybody gets fired in this, because again, he loves these guys that they're loyal to him. Okay, that they won't tell him no for anything, no matter how corrupt it is. Okay, so unfortunately, we're going to have to put up with this. Hopefully, God willing, next year, if the Dems win the House, okay, and you put that pressure on those senators, we can get rid of Trump for once and for all. Okay, which again, Trump should be in jail now if it wasn't for weak Merrick Garland and Joe Biden for not, okay, directing him. Because if I was Joe Biden, I would have directed him on day one once he got confirmed. I said, you indict Trump, okay, and get this over with. We want the American people need him done and gone with. Okay, we need that whole MAGA movement crushed. But again, Merrick Garland was so weak. Okay, and history is going to judge them for being weak, and history is going to judge all these weak Republicans and these weak Democrats for not standing up to Trump. Okay, people are going to wonder why they let this one guy, run all over them. Okay, and it's going to judge them harshly. Okay, so it is what it is. Anyway, let me know what you think of this whole signal scandal. Feel free to leave comments down below. In the description box, I have links to my Facebook, my Twitter, my Instagram. I also have a link down below to my main channel, Trepacer, as well. Also have a link down below to my Patreon, only $5 a month. Okay, you get over 200 videos on there, 5-minute preview clips of all the content that I have on there. Follow the link, it'll take you there. Also have a link down below to my merchandise store, where I sell hats, t-shirts, mugs, sweatshirts, hoodies, water bottles for men, for women, unisex stuff. Follow the link, it'll take you to the store. Also, please give this video a thumbs up. It helps the channel, and I truly appreciate it. Also, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, so you know when I upload new content to this channel. And this is Paul saying so long and take care.